Hello everyone. In this video, we are going to understand about the regular falsi method, or the other name for this method is false position method or method of false position. So in this video, we will understand the concept behind this method, as well as we will see a working example to understand the working of this method. And at last, we will implement this method using a C program. So this method works similar to the bisection method actually. So if you have not seen my video on the bisection method, then you can find the link of that video in the description below or in the I button also. After watching that video, you will find very easy to understand this method. So let's start. So as we discussed in our previous video, bisection method is a numerical method. The same way, regular falsi method is also a numerical method, or you can say a approximation method, which can help us to find the roots of a algebraic as well as a transcendental equation. So just to recall, what is the root of an equation? So if I draw an equation in form of a graph here, so this is a fx function and these are 2 points x1 and x2. Now what is the root of this function? So root means any value of x which can satisfy this equation. That means which can say that if I put the value of x in that function should give me 0. So then that value of x will be the root of that function or the equation. So here we can see this point where this function is cutting the x-axis. So this is x point as we have considered. So this x will be called as root of this equation or the function. Regular falsi method is also known as method of linear interpolation. So we have studied 3 names of the regular falsi method. One is regular falsi method itself. Second is method of false position, and third one is method of linear interpolation. So as we discussed, regular falsi method works similar to the bisection method. But the question is, then what is the difference between the regular falsi method and the bisection method, as both are the method to find the roots of equation? So difference lies actually in the way in which the intermediate point is calculated in both the methods. And what is meant by intermediate point? So if you can see here, we have the graph, and this fx is a function which I have shown graphically, and these are 2 points x1 and x2 on the x-axis. So I have to find one point which is in between the x1 and x2. So here this point is x point on the x-axis. So this x is the intermediate point between the x1 and x2. So we have seen in the previous video that this x point, that was the intermediate point, it was calculated by this formula in the bisection method. That means x equal to sum of both x1 and x2 divided by 2. But in regular falsi method, this intermediate point, that is x point, will be calculated using this formula. So this is the only difference between the bisection method and the regular falsi method with respect to its working. Otherwise, most of the working of the bisection method and the regular falsi method is similar. We will see that how this formula can be calculated. But before that, let's understand the overview of the regular falsi method. So these are simple 3 steps for the working of the regular falsi method. And if you observe it carefully, then you will find that these steps are similar to the bisection method actually. Only difference is we are calculating here x using this formula, and in the bisection method, we were just saying x equal to x1 plus x2 by 2 to calculate that x. Otherwise, all these steps are similar to the bisection method. So for understanding this method, we have taken this example. So here fx is a function which I have shown graphically. So the first step is we have to take x1 and x2 on this x-axis such that this condition is true. So this condition says that after multiplying this f of x1 into f of x2, we should get a lesser than 0 value. That means a negative value. And how we can get a negative value or a lesser than 0 value after multiplying 2 values? It can only happen when both the values are of different signs. That means, let's say f of x1 is positive value and f of x2 is a negative value. Then after multiplying these type of values, we will get a lesser than 0 value. Or it can happen that f of x1 is a negative value and f of x2 is a positive value. After multiplying these also, we will get a lesser than 0 value. So that means f of x1 and f of x2 should be of opposite sign. So we have to choose x1 and x2 in such a way so that if we put the values of x1 and x2 inside the function, we should get this condition as satisfied. So here if you can see in this graph, we have taken this as x1 and this point as x2. And if I say here, this is point x1 comma f of x1. So these are the coordinate of this point. In the similar manner, if I draw this x2 here. So this point will be x2 comma f of x2. Here if I draw, this will be your f of x2 and this will be your f of x1. So here f of x1 is a negative value and f of x2 is a positive value. That means both are of opposite sign. So these x1 and x2 are the valid points. So this step is similar to the bisection method. Now the second step is we have to find the intermediate point between the x1 and x2. So formula is x equal to this much. So let's say we find the x using this formula. So let's say the x point is calculated here. So this is my x point using this formula. And third step is we have to change this x1 and x2 based on two conditions. So these are the condition that after multiplying fx into f of x1, we should get a lesser than 0 value. If this is true, then we have to change x2. Otherwise, if this condition is true, that means fx multiply with f of x2, we are getting lesser than 0, then we have to change x1. That is, we have to shift either x2 or x1 to this x. So this condition also means that f of x and f of x1 should be of opposite sign. Then only this condition can be true. And in the similar manner, here also f of x and f of x2 should be of opposite sign to satisfy this condition. Now in the given scenario, if this is my x, then I can say that this will be your f of x and this f of x is negative. So out of this condition and this condition, which condition will be true? So here if I say this first condition will not be true. Why? Because f of x is negative and f of x1 is also a negative value. So negative multiply negative, we will not get a lesser than 0 value. But this condition will be true. Why? This is negative and f of x2, as we can see here, it is positive value. That means both f of x and f of x2 are of opposite sign. So this condition is true and I will change x1. I can say this x1 will come to this x and this is my new boundary from this point to this point. That means now I will find the root between this x1 and this x2. Now I will discard this x1. So I am getting closer to this point so that we can find the roots of this function. So all these methods are same as with the bisection method. Only difference is only this second point. So this was our first iteration and again we will repeat these second and third steps and I will find this x using the new x1 and x2 which I got in the previous iteration. So here x1 or the x2 will change. As we can see here, this is x1 and this is x2. So in the second iteration, I will find the new x between this x1 and x2. And again, I will change the x1 and x2 based on these conditions. So I can repeat this process n number of times. You can say n number of iteration depending on what is given in the question. And at a particular iteration, I will stop and I will say the calculated x in that iteration will be my root of that equation. So I think you have understood the working of this Regula Falsi method. Now we have to understand that how this x point or this formula is getting calculated. So this is the formula that we have to derive and this is the function f of x that I have drawn. So this is the f of x. Now these are the 2 points x1 and x2 and my motive is to calculate this x. So if I draw this x1 at this point, what are the coordinates here? So you will say these are x1 comma f of x1. If I ask you what is this point corresponding to x2, you will say x2 comma f of x2. Now Regula Falsi method says that to find the x, you have to join this point and this point. That means the point corresponding to x1 and point corresponding to x2. So you have to join it using a line, or you can say you have to join it using a chord. So how we can do that? We can just draw a straight line between these 2 points. So the point at which this line is cutting this x-axis, that point will actually be a x point. Now let's name this point as A and this point as B and this point as C, where we have the x point. Now if you see here, the slope of this CB, that means from here to here, this is equal to actually slope of AB. That means I can write this relation because this theta, or you can say this slope, will be same for CB as well as AB. So if I write what is the slope of AB in terms of these x1 and x2, all these points. So just to recall, what is slope? So if this is the figure and these are the 2 points x1, y1, x2, y2, and if I ask you what is the slope of this line, so you will say you have to subtract y coordinate. So I can say y1 minus y2 and upon x1 minus x2, this x1 and x2. Or you can write in the other way, that is y2 minus y1 upon x2 minus x1. Both are the same thing. So in the similar manner, I can write this slope of AB and slope of CB. Now for that, if I ask you what can I write this x point in terms of x and y coordinate, so you will say this point can be written as x, 0 because here y coordinate will be 0. So I have now x, 0 here, and this B point is x2, f of x2. So what is the slope of CB? So I can write this, that is f of x2 minus this 0 and upon x2 minus x. Now in the same way, what is the slope of CB? So this will be the slope of CB. That means subtract the y coordinate f of x2 minus f of x1 upon x2 minus x1. Now here actually this was the mistake in writing. This point should be actually x2 minus x. Now after solving it, I can find what is the value of x. So I can cross multiply and I can solve this. So after cross multiplying and solving, I got this part. So here if you see, this term and this term can be cut. So this will be cancelled out. Now if I solve the remaining part, I can get the value of x. So here we got the value of x after solving this relation. So I think you have understood because it was very easy. So this way the x point is calculated. Now again between this x point, or you can say after changing the x1 or x2 to this x, let's say I change x1 here. So again between the x1 and x2, I will find the x point. And how it is find out? I will draw this point, and here it will be now new x1, f of x1, and again I will draw the line between this point and this point. So again somewhere like this one, here I will find the new x. So this way this x was calculated or the derived. Now we will take a working example or the equation by using which we will see how this method is actually implemented to find the roots of a given equation. So this is our question. We have to find the root of this equation, and this equation is x cube minus 2x minus 5 equal to 0. So we have to find the roots of this equation till the 4 iteration. That means we will repeat the process of the Regula Falsi method till 4 times, and whatever the value of the x we will be getting in the 4th iteration, that will be our final value of the root for this given equation. And after that we will understand what this second part means. So this is the graph of this function, and now let's start our process to find the roots. So we start with the first iteration, and these are the 3 steps that we have to do. So first we have to find the x1 and x2, then we have to find the value of x, and after that we have to change x1 and x2. So like as we did in the bisection method, here also we have to find the x1 and x2 such that this given condition is true. That means f of x1 and f of x2 values should be of opposite sign. So let's find those x1 and x2. So let's say if we put f of 1, that means if we take the value of the root as 1, and if I put this 1 in this given equation, then I will get minus 6 as the result. So this is a negative value. Now I want one positive value also. So let's say if I put 2. So if I put 2 in this equation, and after solving I will get minus 1 as the result. And again it is a negative value, but I want a positive value. So let's put some another value also. So let's say I put 3. And if I put 3 in this equation, I will get 16 as the value. So now I have found the values which are positive also and which are negative also. So here if you see, there are 2 values which are negative, minus 6 and minus 1. That means for x1 I can choose either 1 or 2, and for x2 I can choose 3. So what I will do, I will take x1 as 2 and x2 as 3. Instead of x1 equal to 2, you can take 1 also as the value of x1. So if I put this on the graph, so let's say this is x1 and let's say this is 2 and x2 as 3. So I'm not taking x1 as 1. That is, I'm not taking the boundary as from 1 to 3. I am taking the boundary from this 2 to 3. So why I am taking the boundary from 2 to 3 and not from 1 to 3? It is because this is the root of this equation and we have to go closer to this root by performing the iterations. So if I am at this boundary, or you can say if I am starting from 1, then it will take some greater time to reach to this point or any point closer to this point in comparison to if I take this x1, that is 2, as the initial value of the x1. If I have only this much boundary, then it will take lesser iteration to reach to this point or closer to this point, or you can say to find the value of x which can satisfy or which will be the root of this function or the equation. So for that I am taking the smaller boundary, that is I am taking x1 as 2 and not 1. Otherwise if you take x1 as 1 also, then also it will be fine. So now I have the value of x1 and x2, and now we will find the value of x using the formula. So this is the formula to calculate the value of x as we have discussed. So here if you see, we need x1 and x2, and we also need the value of f of x1 and f of x2. So here let's write the value of f of x1, that is f of 2. So f of 2 is actually minus 1. So let us write minus 1 here. And what is the value of f of x2? So f of x2 means f of 3. So f of 3 is 16. Now we will put the value in this formula. So here if you see, we are saying x1 multiply f of x2. That means this value should be multiplied with this. And here x2 multiply f of x1. That means x2 should be multiplied with this value. So if you write in this manner the value of x1 and x2 and f of x1 and f of x2, then it will be easy to put these values inside the formula. So let us put all these values in the formula. So I have put all the values in this formula, and if I solve this, so it will be 35 upon 17 and it will come as 2.05882. Now we come to the third step, and third step says we have to change x1 and x2. So we will get new values of x1 and x2 based on two conditions. And what are those conditions? So these are the two conditions on the basis of which we are changing x1 or x2. So if we see in these conditions, we need what? We need the value of f of x and f of x1 and f of x2. But we do not have the value of f of x. So what we will do here in the second step, we will calculate the value of f of x. That is, we will find the value of the function at 2.05882. So if you put this value of x inside this given equation, you will get minus of 0.3910, and it is a negative value. Now if we check these conditions, let's say if we check this given condition, so f of x is a negative value, right? And if you multiply with f of x1, f of x1 is a minus 1, that is again negative value. So negative multiply negative will not give me lesser than 0 value. So this condition also says that f of x and f of x1 should be of opposite sign, either negative positive or positive negative. So this condition is not satisfied. Now if I come to this condition, this says f of x is negative and f of x2, that means f of x2 here it is 16. So this is a positive value. So negative and positive value we are getting. So we will get at last a negative value after multiplication. So this condition means we have to change x1 and it will be equal to x. And if this condition were to be true, then we will change x2 equal to x. So here we will change x1 and x1 is equal to x, and this will be 2.05882. You have to be very careful that by mistake you can put here the value of f of x, that is minus of this 3910 as the value of x1 here, but that will be wrong. This is the value of x that you have to put. So these are my new value of x1 and x2 after the first iteration. Now let's move to the second iteration. And for second iteration, these values of x1 and x2 will become the new values. So I come to the second iteration, and here my x1 and x2 will come from the first iteration. So these are my x1 and x2. And before moving to the x, I want f of x1 and f of x2. So let's write those values also here. So what was the value of the function at this point that we calculated in the first iteration? So this was the function value at this point, minus of 0.3910. And f of x2 was 16. Now let's find the value of x. So again, I have to put the value in such a manner so that this is multiplied with this and this is multiplied with this. Now after putting these values in this formula and after solving this, I will get the value of x as 2.0813, or you can get something like 2.0812 or something 9. So I have just rounded off, so I got this value. Now before moving further to the third step, I want the value of f of x, as we said in the first iteration also. So I have to find f of 2.0813. So after putting this value of x inside this equation, I will get this answer as the value of f of x, and it is a negative value. Now I move to the third step, and I have to change x1 and x2 based on those two conditions. Now f of x is negative and this is negative and this is positive, and I want the opposite sign values. So here if we see, f of x and f of x2 both are of opposite sign. So that means my this relation f of x into f of x2 less than 0, this will be correct. This is negative and this is positive. So again I will change x1, it will be equal to x. So here x1 will be equal to x, and this will be this value of x, that means 2.0813, and x2 will remain as 3. So these are my new values of x1 and x2, which I will carry forward in the third iteration. So these are the values which I have written here, and I have to find f of x1. It will be minus of 0.1479 as we checked in the second iteration, and f of x2, that is f of 3, it will be 16 as we checked in the previous iterations. Now again I have to find the value of x, and if you put these values inside the formula as we discussed in the second iteration, in the first iteration, so I got finally this value of x after putting all these values in the formula. So after putting this value of x in this equation, I will get this value. So now I will move to the third step. Now I will shift x1 and x2. So I have to check first the conditions, that whether I have to change x1 or x2. So here if you see, this f of x is a negative value, and out of f of x1 and f of x2, which is the positive value? So this is the positive value. That means my f of x multiply f of x2, it will give me a negative value lesser than 0 value, because it is negative and it is a positive value. So that means again I will change x1. So my x1 will be equal to x, and it will be 2.0896, and x2 will remain same as 3. So these are my new values of x1 and x2. Now let's move to the fourth iteration, and it will be our last iteration, as we have to find the roots of this equation till 4 iteration. So in the fourth iteration, I have these x1 and x2, and I have also written the values of f of x1 and f of x2. So now let's calculate the value of x. So if I put all these values in the formula, so I will get the value of x as 2.0927, or something similar to that. Like you can get something like 2.092, or you can say 73 or 69. So you just put the values in this manner, like this multiply with this and this multiply with this. So as our question says that we have to do this process of the regular Falsi method till 4 iteration. So now here this value of x will be my root for this given equation. I will not move forward because I have to find the roots till 4 iteration. So I will not move to the third step. So this is my answer or the root for this given equation. If the question says that I have to repeat this process, let's say for the 5th iteration also, then again I will calculate the value of fx, and I will change the value of x1 and x2 also. I think you have understood that how we can find the roots of a given equation using this regular Falsi method. Now one thing I want to mention here is, like as we calculated this formula, in some of the books or at some other places, you may find that this formula is rewritten as something like x equal to something x2 minus, then something is written as something minus something upon something minus something, and multiply with some value of f of x1 or x2. So that type of formula will also be correct, because that formula is also derived from the same relation. So you may use this relation or this relation to find the value of x. So we have completed this part. Now if this question says that we have to find the root of the given equation till 3 correct decimal places. So what does it mean? So we have discussed similar thing in the bisection method also. So this means, for example, in one of the iteration, let's say in the fourth iteration, you are getting some answer as 2.09876, something like that. And in fifth iteration, you are getting answer as, for example, 0.98 and something like 6 and let's say 9 or 8. Okay, so this is the value of x in the fourth iteration and this is the value of x in the fifth iteration. So here if you see, after this decimal point, these three values or three digits are similar as these three values which we are getting in the fifth iteration. So this question means that you have to repeat this process till you get these similarity. That means in the previous iteration and in the current iteration, after the decimal, the digits should be similar. So here if it is written as 3, that means after this dot, these three digits should be same in the previous iteration and in the current iteration. Then you will stop your process and you will say this x, that is 2.09868, it is your root. Or you can also print this answer also. Why? Because these three digits are actually matching with each other. So you can print any of the value of x as the root of this equation. And in the similar manner, if the question asks that you have to repeat this process till the 4 correct decimal places, that means you have to match the 4 digits after this decimal values. And if the values, let's say in the fourth iteration and fifth iteration, are not matching after this decimal, then you will go with the sixth process or sixth iteration. And then you will find the value of x here and you will match the value of fifth iteration x and the x that you got in the sixth iteration. So I think you have understood that what is the meaning of this second process. Now let's see the pseudocode and we will see that how we can implement this concept of matching in our program. So here is our pseudocode for the regular falsi method. So as in the bisection method, we were inputting the value of x1 and x2 and the maximum number of iteration. Same thing we are doing here also. And after that, we are asking the user to enter the value of x1 and x2. So till the point f of x1 and f of x2 both are not of opposite sign, we are asking the user again and again to enter the correct value of x1 and x2. Now let's say user enter the correct value of x1 and x2 here, then we will come out of this some loop. You can implement this using any of the loop. Now after that we will start our iterations. So here I is equal to 1, that means we are starting from the first iteration, and here this is the do while loop. You can use any loop of your choice. So here I have said while I is less than n, that means my iterations are not crossing the maximum iterations. Till that point I will repeat this do while loop. Now if you see here inside do while loop, I have this if condition which is saying that if this if is true, then I will print x and I will return. So now let's understand it. So if you see this code is actually similar to the bisection method. Only difference is this formula and this formula. So the calculation of the x, that is the only difference as compared to bisection method. So here what we do is we first find the value of x. So let's say we found some value of x. So our first process was done, that is we found the value of x1 and x2. Second process, that is we find the value of x, it is done. Now we will change either x1 or x2. So let's say we change any of the x1 and x2, and after that what we have to do. So if this condition is not there, then we can simply say I++, that is move to the second iteration. But in this pseudocode, we can stop due to two conditions. Either when this while loop is false or if this if condition is true. So this if condition is actually checking that if the current iteration and the previous iteration value of x, they are matching or they are between some threshold, then we have to stop. Now what is that threshold? Let's come to that point. So what we will do is after this step, we will again find the value of x based on the new value of x1 and x2 which we have got from here. So again I applied this formula and I found the value of x3. So this x3 is actually this x only, but I have taken another variable x3 so that this value of x is not getting overridden by this new value of x which we are calculating from this point. I have got a new value of x in x3. Now we are doing the subtraction of x3 and x. That means we are subtracting these values. So here I have found the absolute value of this difference, and after that I am checking whether this difference is lesser than this answer. So as I discussed in the bisection method, this says that if this difference is lesser than this constant value, then you will stop and you will say that your this x is your root and you will return. So what does this 0.001 means? So if in the question it says that you have to check till 3 correct decimal places whether your match has been found between the previous value of x and the current value of x, then you have to take a threshold in your program to implement that matching concept. So for 3 correct decimal places, you will take 0.001. What is this 0.001? This is the allowed error, or you can say this is also called as threshold. So this allowed error or the threshold is saying that if the difference between the x and the current x is within this range or it is lesser than this value, then you will say you have to stop and your current x or the previous x will be your final root. So this is the way by which we are implementing that concept of matching the value of previous iteration x and the current iteration x. Now if the program says you have to match till 4 correct decimal places, then you have to take this value of allowed error as 0.0001. So here I am checking till 4 correct decimal places, so I have taken as 0.0001. Now if this if condition is not true, then I will simply say I++. But before that, I am saying this very important step. And this is very important. Why? Because if you do not write x equal to x3, then what will happen? So here you've got some new value of x1 and x2. Based on that, you found this x3. And if you simply say I++, then you will go this process, this step again, and you will say check this condition. So here your x will be this value and x1 will be these values. Okay, so again you will change x1 and x2. So let's say you got some x1 and x2, right? Now if you again find the value of x3, so you will see this x3 and the previous time x3 will be same. Why? Because in the previous time this x3 was calculated based on these x1 and x2, and this time also the same x1 and x2 have come to this point. So there is no change. That means whatever you got in the previous iteration, the same thing you got this time also. And so your process or your this program will actually give a wrong answer and your complete iteration will run. So this if condition is of no use. So what you have to do is when you go to the next iteration, you have to say that x equal to x3. That means this previous x3 will come in this x. And then if you go to this process, so here you have got new value of x, and then here x3 will be calculated based on new x1 and x2. So I think you have understood why this condition is important. So let's say if we say we have to repeat this process, let's say 100 times, let's say. So it may happen that your program may run for 100 iteration, or it may happen that your program may come out before this 100 iteration gets completed due to this if condition. So it may come at let's say 16 iteration also if this condition is satisfied, or it may come after 100 iteration only. So after 100 iteration, let's say you will say okay, the x will be my final value that I have got in the 100 iteration. Or here you are saying okay, the iteration 16th will give me the final value of the x. So here you can print either x, or you want to print x3 also, that will also be correct, because the value of x and x3 will be matching till the 4 decimal places. So let's implement this using a C program. So this is our C program to implement the regular falsi method. So if you start from the main function, here you can see we have max iteration variable. So it is telling me what are the total number of maximum iteration for which you have to run this program. And after that, I have declared some variables x1, x2, x3 and so on. Now I will ask, tell me the number of maximum iteration for which I have to run this program. Now after that, I have taken a do while loop, and in which I am asking the user to again and again tell me the value of x1 and x2. So I will ask the value of x1 and x2, and if the value of x1 and x2 after putting in the function, they are of not opposite sign. That means if this condition is true, then I will say these x1 and x2 are invalid, and I will say continue this process again. But if x1 and x2 are such that this condition is false, then I will come to else and I will say, okay, I have found the value of x1 and x2, roots are valid. And I will say break, come out of this do while loop. So after getting the value of x1 and x2 from this do while loop, I will come to the next process. And this code is actually similar what we have said in the pseudo code. So here what I will do, I will find the value of x, and after that in the do while loop, I am checking this condition to change x1 and x2, and then I am printing the intermediate results. So I am printing that in iteration 1 what is the value of x, in iteration 2 what is the value of x. So this step is just for your better readability. And after that I again find the value of x and it is stored inside x3. Then I am finding the difference between x3 and x. So here I have taken the 𝐹ABS function. So ABS means absolute value, and 𝐹ABS function gives me the absolute value when the parameter passed inside this brackets are of float type, because x3 minus x can be of float type. Now if this if condition is not true, then I will say x equal to x3 and then I will say I plus plus. And after this do while loop gets over, I will print the value of the root as this, that is x is the root. So if you notice here I have written minus minus I. So why I have written minus minus I and not as I? It is because the maximum iteration, let's say they are 100. So this loop will be false at 101th iteration. Here I have written minus minus I so that the answer comes as root is this and total iteration equal to 100, because I was 101, so I have to subtract minus 1. Now if you see here, this find value at is a function. So what this function is doing? So this function is actually giving me the value of the function at x point. So it is taking one float type data, that is x, and it is returning me float type of value, and this is the equation. So after putting this x inside this equation, I will get some value which this function is returning. And what is this find x? So this find x is giving me the actual value of the x after putting this formula. So this is the same formula that we have discussed in the Regula Falsi method. So this find x is actually getting used at this point and at this point, and I have written the value of epsilon here as 0.001 if I want to check till 4 decimal places. So I think you have now understood how this program is working, and let's run this program and see what is the output. So here I am getting some error. So here it is saying, oh, it is f, so it should be actually find value at function. So see here, it should not be f, it should be find value at. So now it is asking me enter maximum number of iteration. So let's say I said 16 iteration. Now it is asking me x1 and x2. So let's say I said 2 and 3. So yes, so it actually says that root will lie between 2 and 3, and these are the roots which are intermediate roots in each of the iteration. So this was my final answer, and I got in the 7 iteration only. So I do not have to run this program for 16 iteration. So that means this program will come out of due to which thing? Due to do while loop or due to if condition? It will come out of this due to this if condition. Now if you want to test this program till 3 decimal places matching, then you can write this as 0.001. Again it is asking me enter maximum number of iteration. So let's say I again said 16 iteration, and x1 is 2 and x2 is 3. It is giving me 2.093884 in the 5 iteration. So I think you have understood the concept behind the Regula Falsi method and how to implement it using a C program. So if you have any comment, query or suggestion, please write down into the comment box. You can also watch my videos on the C programming, interview questions, lead code solution, and so on. So if you are new to my channel, please subscribe the channel and press the bell icon for further notification. See you in the next video. Till then, goodbye.